Steven Crowder, think what you will of him, is a real content creator in my books. Steven Crowder is not afraid to go outside and engage with people with the opposite opinion of him. His new series, Change My Mind, is one that I've really taken a liking to because he goes out and actually engages with the opposition. I've linked all 3 episodes that are currently out down below in the mentions section so you can check them out if you'd like. In the newest installment of the series, I'm Pro-Life, Change My Mind, he discusses for almost an hour with a woman the ethical nature of abortion. Which, if you're not going to watch it, it's basically a general shit show because they keep interchanging life and viable and therefore having a really hard time disagreeing on basic definitions in order to move forward with the argument. It's at the 30-minute mark where he completely misses the point of forced abortion, which is what I'd like to address. Roll the clip.
This latest installment of Change My Mind is regarding the abortion issue.
Knowledge nor ignorance changes the very nature of something. So it still comes to the question whether that's a life or not. What I think about rape is that rape is terrible. That doesn't change the circumstance that there's a life growing inside of that woman.
Okay, so that woman's life somehow is superseded by...
No, not at all.
But when being forced to carry that child would...
No, I would never force anyone to carry a child.
So, then what are the other options?
No, I'm not forcing anybody to carry a child. I'm simply barring someone from killing a life.
But you can't have it both ways.
There's not having both ways. I'm not forcing. The rapist has committed an evil act.
Right, but it's
and so I'm simply saying that you can't meet an evil act with an even greater evil, which is the termination of a life. I'm not forcing anyone to bear a child. I would never do that.
There's a complete disconnect in Steven Crowder's mind between the idea of not allowing a woman to abort a pregnancy and the fact that it is being forced upon her. A complete misunderstanding of the nature of those two not being mutually exclusive. In high school, when I was being exposed to a variety of different outlooks and concepts, my liberal teachers indoctrinated me into believing that no matter what, I must fight anybody and any movement that wants to put any kind of limitations on my body, no matter what. I know better now. I have 4 years of cell biology, microbiology, zoology, and genetics behind me. I understand that I can no longer take the position of Sunsara Taylor, the leader of Refuse Fascism, where she states that abortion must be available at any time without apology.
This war on women's access to abortion is motivated, and it's about controlling women. It's about taking from women the right to decide for themselves when and whether they'll have a child. And if women don't have that basic determination over their own lives, their own reproduction, their own course in their own destiny, women cannot be free. It's sort of a concerted push in this country, on the one side by all-out Christian fascists to force women back to the status of breeders. The pro-choice people who disagree with the slogan or think it's too extreme to say abortion on demand and without apology, I have to ask, which women do you think should be forced to have children against their will? And which women do you think should be shamed and feel guilty about getting an abortion? You know, no woman should be made to feel ashamed of getting an abortion. No woman should be forced to bring a pregnancy to term and to bear a child. And if you believe that, then you have to raise that slogan.
There are so many issues regarding abortion and its effect on our bodies, such as Asherman syndrome, which are not discussed with us when we're initially recruited to fight against the patriarchy controlling our bodies. V actually covers this issue quite nicely in one of his recent videos.
Now I'm going to criticize the extremists on the left who are promoting shit like abortion is one of the safest surgical procedure for women in the United States, and fewer than 0.05% of women obtaining abortion experience a complication. This is a half-truth. What they do with the statistic, and again, this is the problem with people not understanding science, because something like this, even for a medical student, year 2 or 3, is going to sound plausible, and they're going to say, yeah, this is right. But once you actually understand gynecology, and once you actually understand the science behind this shit, you understand that this is a false statistic, not because it's lying, but because it's leaving things out. So the way we monitor to see if a procedure is safe or not is how many people suffer complications in the short term after the procedure. So yes, having an abortion presents no health risk in the immediate future for the woman. If the woman chooses not to have a child ever, she will suffer no complication. However, the problem is that the way we do abortions, and we're talking about not chemical abortion, which happens really soon after the woman got pregnant, which can be like the morning after pill. There can be other pills, right, or taking certain substances that will just force the body of the woman to abort. We're talking about surgical abortion, right? So already the embryo is in its developed state. So what they do is the doctor places a surgical instrument that is going to just scrape the uterus and try to get that shit out, right? Now, when it does that, it actually creates lesions on the bottom of the uterus. It creates scars.
Asherman syndrome. This is the name for adhesions inside the uterine cavity that may cause women to become infertile. Adhesions or scars may develop inside the uterus if during surgery the uterine lining is injured.
But Naomi, screw the hypothetical sterilization. Let's talk about the ethical aspect of abortion. Is it murder, as Crowder calls it? Should we ban abortion based purely on the morality aspect of it? I honestly don't know, but I'm gonna let V take this away, because as a medical doctor who lives in Romania where abortion is actually banned, I feel like he has a very strong take on this whole issue.
Let's talk a little bit about the morality of the issue, because I don't think killing an embryo is moral, because it is, at the end of the day, a life. As a doctor, I do think that it's a life. However, it is ethical, and I'm not basing this on feelings or on empathy or on anything like that. I'm basing it on the fact that Romania actually banned abortions, and it was horrible. It doesn't lead to any good things from doing this. And I think on the world as a whole, there's like 5 or 6 countries in total that ban abortions. So it's not something that civilized countries usually do. They do allow women the choice of having an abortion. However, with that said, I am not okay with advertising this. I am not okay with not existing any sort of social pressure not to try to convince women not to have it, because at the end of the day, it's something that's horrible, but it needs to exist.
Okay, so with all of the conservativeness that I've brought up so far, you are very rightfully asking, where do I stand in all of this? To answer that, I will need to bring up Steven Crowder's developmental chart, which he used in his video. After careful consideration of everything that I know, I have to say that I support abortion well into the 24-week window, with a gray area being given to the 24 to 26-week area, as that's when viability of the fetus outside the womb jumps from a 50% viability to a 90% viability. A woman should also be given access under circumstances of heart, brain, and nervous system abnormalities to late-term abortion, because it is up until birth that the central nervous system is developing, and so that's where I stand. This is one of my favorite hippos. Hippos are my spirit animal, and it is about the size of a 24-week-old fetus. So if you take a look, it's about 10 inches long, and so that's it. That's a 24-week-old fetus, and I totally understand people's aversion to thinking of this as not a baby, because it is quite sizable. You just have to think of viability, and if a baby doesn't have the ability to breathe on its own, then it's not a person yet. It's not a real, fully grown, incubated person. Crowder likes to play word games about incubators and technology, but it's all benign. If, let's say, at 20 weeks, a baby is born in Seattle in one of the best hospitals, is put on a respirator in an incubator, and is later able to go on to become a fully contributing member of society, then that doesn't make babies at 20 weeks viable, or fetuses at 20 weeks viable. It just means that technology is pretty cool. And if you don't understand why I just went on that tangent, then all you have to do is watch the 45 agonizing minutes of Steven Crowder discussing that over and over again. without women. So where do men's rights fall in all of this? A lot of people believe that a man's right to choose ends at ejaculation. And the flippant nature in which some women have abortions without any input from the father or consideration for the long-term effects of abortion, when done unironically, it's pretty distasteful.
No, I can't go for a run because I had an abortion yesterday. I can't go for a run and I can't take a bath or use a tampon or have intercourse for like a week.
Are you, what?
Yeah, just a couple of things I can't do because I had an abortion yesterday.
Was it mine?
Yeah, of course it was yours. I didn't want to talk about it beforehand, I just wanted to do it. But I haven't shared with boyfriends in the past. I'm trying to be more open with you.
So you're trying to be open with me. How many abortions have you had?
I'm not going to share that with you because that is private. I'm not going to ask you how many girls you've gotten pregnant.
None. It's not private. I've got no girls pregnant except for you now.
And do I have an answer to all of this? No, but I 100% support the idea of a man being able to financially disconnect himself from a woman who refuses to have an abortion while he voices absolutely zero want to become a father figure. This conversation is big. Trust me, I know. I've discussed the possibility of continuing this conversation with both Patty Politics and Fatman in Paradise separately. Tell me more in the comments or tweet at me if this is the kind of conversation that you would be interested in hearing more about. Well, that was a big one to unpack. A big thanks to Steven Crowder for getting my mental juices going, and to V for offering me a little insight into Romanian culture and his own view on the subject of abortion, its consequences, etc. And you guys, don't forget to be good to yourselves. Look out for number 1. If you need something more private, you can always hit me up on Twitter. And don't forget, I'm here to be your listening ear. You have a good night. Bye!
You have to know that you're not just my cousin, you're my friend. And I could not be more proud of you for getting this abortion. Please don't yell at Jessa too much when she gets here, okay?
I won't. I mean, it's a bummer, because, like, she ruined it, but it's not.
How could she ruin the beautiful abortion that you threw?
Hannah, that is not what I meant.
You're a really good friend, and you threw a really good abortion.
Oh, stop it.
You did.
I'm just worried, you know? Like, what if she's in, like, a gutter or changed her mind?
She seemed really excited about it this morning.
Hey, you're pregnant when you don't want to be, so you might want to come have your abortion now. Okay, thanks, bye. There is seriously nothing flakier in this world than not showing up to your own abortion.
This thing called abortion regret is actually a hormonal imbalance done when the mother loses the pregnancy, because the body doesn't understand what's happening, right? And this is also something that happens when women have a C-sec, because when you have birth naturally, the hormones are also pushed out alongside with the baby. When you have a C-sec, the body all of a sudden knows it had the pregnancy there, and now that it doesn't register the baby being inside, it actually causes insane distress and emotional baggage towards the woman. This is a physiological, medical fact that we know.